Dan, hey, it's good to see you.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry I missed. I didn't realize you could have having this get together every Friday. All those would join all the time.
Dan, do you know where to find the recordings in the community if you wanted to look back?
I would like to, you know what, I could dig around, but if somebody you guys send an email, stuff like that, appreciate it.
But here, I want to show you where you can look back and you can find some of the
Sure.
recordings for the other sessions. So, in part, if you go into your partner center, you'll find
Mm-hmm.
like that rubric in the top right-hand corner. It's kind of like 9 squares. Looks like a Rubik's
Okay.
cube.
Yeah.
Click on that and you'll see Academy and Community. If you click on Community, it'll bring you right here. And then you can go
Okay.
into, you can click on community sessions. Then you're gonna see all of the community sessions that we've been
Okay.
having. So
Great.
you can check back and you can listen to what's been going on. So, what's something that you're focused on, Dan? Maybe there's a session that I can recommend here for you.
Well, basically trying to save my clients, my SMB clients, from sinking in this COVID-19 environment. I've been
Yeah.
trying to figure a way to get these people to pivot.
Well,
Using technology, all this stuff to get them back up and going and back in the fight.
I
So
mean, this is a great time for you to be joining again
Albot.
this week. Yeah.
yeah.
So Dan, I want to point you towards the last session that we had on the local business online toolkit. Those are all of those express products that you can activate. And right now, we're offering local business online toolkits and snapshots to our partners to help you support your community and the businesses that you work with. So
Mhm.
I want to show you this other thing that we're running right now, Dan. It's like we planned this. We didn't talk about this beforehand,
Really?
right? But
Hey,
but
you know what? When Dad comes online, let's do this, right?
Dan, you're the man. You got to join every week. This is so good. So if you go into courses here, so if you go into courses and then get into Protect Local with the
Mhm.
local business online toolkit, crush out this course and you'll get a badge. You'll get a badge with
Okay.
like a toolkit badge, just kind of like that. And then go into groups, go into community sessions. And now in here, take a screenshot of your picture, and this is the
Mhm.
badge. And the badge, just post it in here. And what we're doing is, we'll give you, at least 50 free local business online toolkits. We call them
Oh,
LBOTs
cool.
for short, and snapshot reports. So this is
Okay,
really
great.
just like you said. How can I support the businesses I work with right now? This is a great way to do it. And we've been talking about it in the community sessions, in the think tanks with NSU. We have a lot of the process and the people in place. Now we want to help you accelerate with these things. So we don't want anything holding you back.
Great. Good timing too, because I'm about ready to put together a series of webinars to kick out there in the ether to try to help get people's attention.
Nice. So definitely check out that previous community session. There's another one. If you do a search for winning or win with webinars, we actually have a webinar deck that that you can use for your webinar. If you want to do the webinar on the local business online toolkit, it has a talk track and strategy for that. So let me try and find that link, and I'll put it in the chat in a second here, just so that you have it.
Are you guys sure you didn't plan this all out?
Yeah. Why?
Okay.
Why? Is this stuff good for you? You think this is
Sounds
good
like
for other
exactly
people too?
you like got on my computer. So, Dad's gonna need this. Dad's gonna need that.
Yeah. Hey, we want to help you be successful, Dan. So yeah, and that's a good point. Some housekeeping. We do record these sessions, and then we
Mhm.
share the recording, in the community afterwards. So and any resources that we prepare, and we try to make them available as well. So you got to check out, Dan. You also, I know I'm telling you to do a lot of things right now, but the sessions that we had with Janice from Janice Christopher Agency,
Mhm.
I know those sessions have helped a lot of partners generate revenue specifically for the snapshot analysis. So make sure to check out those sessions. And she even provided for the community a 10-minute 5-point checklist to get you prepared for your initial consultation. And that's what she walks through. So another recommendation. A lot of great stuff.
Great.
And it's good to see you, Dan. I just wanted to
Yeah.
say hi.
Well, thanks. Hi. Heck of a hi. That's a heck of a way to greet me. Hey, Dan, by the way, let's do all this stuff. But
Hey,
yeah, I
you're
appreciate
in,
it.
man.
And when I jumped in the previous one, it's been a little bit here. Yeah, I really
Yeah,
enjoy the camaraderie in here, and lots of great information. So
yeah.
I'm relatively new to Vendasta, and I'll tell you, I'm tickled pink with getting involved with this. So
Awesome. How new are you with Vendasta? How long have you been a partner, Dan?
probably about 6 months or so.
6 months.
Yeah,
Nice.
just
Hey,
before all hell broke loose. So
oh yeah. Well, we're doing what we can to help you and help your community, right? That's why we're doing
mhm.
these things. So maybe, that's a great question for the group. So during these sessions, we want to hear from you. If you have any questions, what we want to do is we want to do our best to try and get to the questions during the session. If we can't get to them, what we want to do is try and answer them and post them in the community afterwards, so we can at least provide you with some responses. So let's practice. Find the chat in the Zoom here and just put in how long you've been a partner with Vendasta. I'm really curious to see how long everybody's been a partner with Vendasta. And while everybody's doing that, congrats, Mike Corzo. Just closed a deal an hour ago. Can you tell us more about that?
This is the Brooklyn, New York dog walking business. They walk 500 dogs a day pre-COVID. Now they're down to 100, and they have 60 dog walkers, and they need help with marketing when we're rebuilding their website. So I got a great quote approved for a website build. And we're going to be doing social media for them.
Nice.
And the kicker is that I told you about this grant that I got through New York State, through the CARES program.
Yeah.
So I've been able to hire a few people to do social media. So I told her, we're doing what we put in the proposal in the package for you, plus twice or three times more, just because I have these people who are being paid through the CARES program that I don't have to pay for. So it's like free labor that I'm putting right on this account. So it's going to blow up over the next 2 months, and I'm sure we're going to do a lot more with them.
Heck
Awesome.
yeah, Mike.
Do you know if they're hiring walkers? Like, I'd be interested to hang out with some dogs.
If you're in Brooklyn, New York, sure.
No, just hanging out in Saskatoon. Okay.
Congrats, Mike, and good to see you.
Likewise, good to see you.
Hey, that's awesome. Anybody else have any wins they want to share? And then I can't wait for today's session. But any other wins? It's a great way to start the meeting off, even if it's moving a deal forward. And that's all right.
Well,
Yeah, who's that?
I'll just add that yesterday I had 2 calls that I'm sure are going to close as well with a big co-packing company in Canada. They do co-packing for cannabis businesses. And then another one, a CBD company that's going to come through as well.
Nice. Got to keep that activity up, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for sharing that, Mike, and congratulations.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for your motivation every week.
Hey, you got it. All right, let's get into it. I can see some people are still joining, but I'm really excited for today. So today we're doing our monthly executive Q&A, and today we have very special guest, Jeff Tomlin, who goes way, way back. I'm not going to steal any thunder, but Jeff, welcome. Let's get into it. You want to do an intro for the group?
Yeah, sure. For everyone online, I'm Jeff Tomlin. I'm the CMO here, and I've been with Vendasta since the beginning. We co-founded Vendasta way back in 2008, and I can't believe it's been that long. It doesn't feel like it's been that long. And very, very different enterprise than what it was right at the very outset. But what I wanted to do, I didn't put together a deck specifically today because I didn't want to distract people with images and whatnot. I wanted to come on and tell a bit of a story and try to knit some things together about our product and our strategy. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Vendasta's journey over the past couple of years and our learnings from that. I wanted to share some some metrics with you guys from our company. And specifically from our experiences, I wanted to communicate how that's impacted our product strategy, our product roadmap, and the strategy that we're trying to enable our customers with. And so hopefully the story that I have ties everything together. Before I jump into it, Andrew, did you want me to touch on anything else or any other housekeeping?
Hey, no, I think that's great. I think really, recording the session will be shared. Any questions, please put them in the chat. So, we'll try to get to the questions throughout the session, but if we can't answer them, we'll answer them in the community afterwards. And Jeff, thank you very much for your time and sharing these insights with the community. But, let's get into it, and then let's have a discussion with the group.
Good. And I want to save a lot of time for questions. People have questions and want to fire anything that comes to their head off at me. So I won't ramble on too long. But so I'm going to preface this with the main focus here about this discussion is primarily customer acquisition strategies. How we've been thinking about it at Vendasta, what our strategy has been, and how, like I said, how we've been baking and been working to bake that and our learnings into the product for you guys. So our job as marketers and as business developers is to build recurring revenue models, a repeatable and scalable business, and typically that also not only involves a recurring revenue model, but a customer acquisition model. So we build or procure a product. So I'll, right at the very beginning and outset of an organization, we build or procure a product. We choose a target audience. And the first job at hand is to prove that we've got product market fit. And so we do that by getting out into the market, getting our product into the hands of customers, testing and iterating over it. And we can prove that we've got a product market fit when we can show that we can land a customer, we can keep a customer, and we can grow the customers. The next job at hand is to prove that we've got go-to-market fit. And so we can prove that by the amount of MRR that we're able to generate. Ultimately, we measure the cost of acquiring the customer, how long it takes us to pay back that cost, so our CAC payback. And typically, the benchmark is when we can land a customer and keep them where the lifetime value of that customer is at least 3 times greater than the cost of acquiring the customer, becomes time to scale the business, or you're in a position where you can scale the business. And what happens in the scaling process is that the vast majority of businesses, and in our last conference in San Diego, Tiffany Bova spoke about this at length and wrote a book on this. Vast majority of companies hit a stall in their growth, and there's a number of reasons around that stall. And some of the things that we've identified here at Vendasta we talk about is product-related challenges, marketing, sales, customer retention, an inability to expand the customers that they have, or general challenges around scaling their organization. So we're going to focus today on challenges around go-to-market. And because what we see typically happens is probably the most common thing. As businesses start scaling, they'll hire salespeople. They'll hire one salesperson to join them. They'll hire another, and then maybe another, and then you have to start scaling your marketing to feed that sales team. And what happens more times than not is that the marketing team can't keep up with the sales team and the scaling of the sales team. And so the leads that they generate for the marketing organization, they get more and more expensive. And as they get more expensive, the cost of acquiring a customer gets more expensive. And then all of a sudden, as we're scaling the organization, that CAC to LTV gets out of whack. And now we're below the 3-to-1 threshold, and the business model starts failing. So we've seen this over and over and over again. But there's a class of companies, and maybe before I go into that, the answer to this over the last, the better part of the decade, 6 to 8 years especially, has been to in order to scale efficiency, we have to embrace the concept of inbound marketing. And inbound marketing is a great way of focusing on people who are showing the true intent. We find people who are looking for us by producing content that answers questions fundamental to those types of your customer cohort. And the problem now is that the search sphere is so competitive. It's made content marketing and inbound marketing not as scalable as it used to be. It takes an incredible effort to scale. But there is a class of company that is outperforming most companies, and not just in the tech sphere, like in general. You look at businesses across the board. And so, I'll ask, what do companies like HubSpot, Dropbox, Evernote, Smartsheet, Expensify, what do they all have in common? And the answer to the question is—
Wait, hold on, Jeff. Before you answer that,
yeah,
do you guys know? Does anyone know, what do they all have in common? HubSpot, Dropbox, put it in the chat. What do they all have in common? Let's give it a couple of seconds. I want to see if somebody is on the same thought. SaaS, yeah, software as a service. Julie, product-led growth. Well, I think we could
nailed it.
Virality,
Yeah,
free, Joe. Yeah, there you go.
All of these things, and so Julie mentioned product-led growth, and so this concept is a concept that it had been coined by a venture capital company called OpenView Ventures, based out of Boston, and they came up with the term to refer to companies that put their product out in front. And what they've done essentially is turn their product into a marketing channel itself for the business, and not just a marketing channel for the business, the primary marketing channel. So it becomes the primary way that businesses attract, retain, and grow their customer base. And so the interesting thing about product-led growth companies, and OpenView Ventures has done a ton of research and benchmarking around this, is that they outperform all other SaaS companies in almost every category of SaaS metric. Their growth rate, their gross margin, their net dollar retention, their CAC payback are all head and shoulders above the SaaS 1000 index. So when you compare medians, so they're like their growth rates 10% higher, their median gross margins 4% higher. Enterprise values, they're worth twice as much as traditional SaaS companies, and over twice as much actually. And the revenues that they get or the multiples rather that they get on their revenues when they are sold or acquired are like multiples more than the traditional SaaS companies. So the characteristics of these companies is, so we mentioned product-led growth, is they do have, a lot of them have a freemium approach to their business, although freemium isn't a necessary characteristic to be a product-led growth company. The main characteristic is that they focus on creating frictionless ways for customers to interact with their company and interact with their brand. There's a lot of different approaches, not just freemium. There's free trials, but they make it very, very easy to interact with the product, make it easy to become a customer or a user of their solution. And they try to remove all of the friction around ultimately becoming a paying customer and paying for the product. Interestingly, so Vendasta's had a freemium product for many, many years, actually. The name of the product is called Listing Builder. And I'm going to be brutally honest with the group here. We had a large, we still do have a large cohort of enterprise customers. And in our early years, so we sort of grew out of the enterprise space and then opened up our product to a much larger customer group over the years. But our initial customer group were large media companies, so large software enterprises like the web.coms and cars.com, those type of companies. And we worked a lot with those larger enterprises trying to get them to embrace this notion of product-led growth, and specifically using Listing Builder as a vehicle to get a free product into the hands of their customers, get them using a product, and then grow them from there. And to be perfectly honest with everybody, we really, really struggled in the early days. We had a hard time convincing those early large customers to embrace sort of this product-led approach. And when I look back now, I think that we had very little credibility when we were trying to tell this story, because after all, if you wanted to become a Vendasta customer back then, you had to come to the Vendasta site, you had to fill out a form, and it had a whole bunch of fields on it, and it would get sent to our marketing and our sales team. Someone would reach out with you, hopefully that same day, maybe the next day, and that person would be a sales development representative. They would book you a meeting, and so you'd have to book a meeting for a day or two, or maybe a week down the road, and you talk to a BDR, you get a presentation. And after the presentation, if you found common ground, you'd sign a contract. After the contract was signed, you'd be sent the login credentials to your new account, and then we'd go from there. And so there's all sorts of friction, and a long time. It was challenging to become a Vendasta customer. And so at the end of 2018 and the beginning of 2019, we sat down and we were facing similar challenges that a lot of companies have, as Tiffany writes about. We were starting to feel that the growth wasn't coming as naturally, and we were starting to hit a little bit of a stall. And we said, well, what can we do? Well, we talk about this product-led approach and this freemium approach to growing, but we don't do it ourselves, and it's time to drink our own medicine and walk the talk if we're gonna tell other people that they should apply this approach. And it's, by the way, it's interesting that we started out in building in the enterprise space, because at the previous company before we founded Vendasta, Brendan and I worked with a company called Point 2 Technologies. We built a real estate website platform, and from the ground up, in a 4-year period, we built it from zero to we had 165,000 realtors in 84 countries on a freemium type product. And so it's interesting that we started in the enterprise space with Vendasta and came down. And as we were discussing this change to our executive, we had the same sort of reticence and objections and worries that our customers had about it. Well, will we cannibalize revenue? Will our average deal size go down? Will people downgrade down into three? What will happen to our average revenue per paying account? And we put those fears aside, because we knew all the literature that this was a superior way to grow the company, and we had to turn the product into a vehicle where it was doing some of the marketing for us. And so we came out with a free subscription at the beginning of 2019, and I'll share with you what our experience was. Despite all of the fears, what happened is that our cost of acquiring a customer dropped in half, less than 50%. And by the way, since that initial 3-month period where we did the benchmarks, it's dropped even more. It's dropped another 2 times. And our CAC payback period, so the number of months it takes us to pay back the cost of acquiring our customers, went from 10.2 months down to 7.1 months. Net monthly bookings increased by 4 times. Our lead to paying customer, our MQL to closed customer conversion rate, went from 6.9% to 11.6%. So it almost doubled, and it's grown from there. So almost all of our metrics went up and to the right. And so it was, and it didn't happen. It wasn't an easy change for us having, you know, one model and making a shift to another. But that experience and the learnings from it have really informed the, you know, the product decisions that we've been making over the last little bit. And just to give you a little bit of thought into, you know, how we've been thinking about these things. Number one is, what are we doing to remove friction from the process, you know, for our customers to make it easier for their customers to become actual paying customers. So well, number one is a friction. And then number two, what are we doing to enable our customers to cast a wider net and make it easier for them to create engagements with a much larger audience? Because that's what we did. But by the way, I'll share another metric with you. At the beginning of 2019, we had somewhere in the range of about 1,300 paying customers. So on the platform. So now people that are in advanced tiers, we have around 2,500 you know, larger paying customers in the subscription basis, but registered customers, we have over 25,000 now that are using the product to some other degree, which is just an order of magnitude difference from you know, from basically a year and a half ago. So as we looked around our product, said, you know, what is the path forward on the roadmap? Well, number one of the big challenges, you know, when we're talking to our customers, that it creates friction in their business is billing and invoicing, and how can we make it really easy for our customers to pay? So it's one of the reasons over the past couple of years, we've invested a ton of money into building out a billing infrastructure. So not only can you know, we send invoices to customers and let them, you know, pay through credit card, but we can build that right into the business app for our customers so that they can put in their credit card and they can buy anything right there without talking to us. That is a vision that's, you know, now come to fruition, and it has also, you know, there's a lot of places where we can grow that, adding more and more flexibility. But we have been able to come out with, you know, not just flexible configurations of products where you could have a freemium approach with the product, but you could also have free trials in a product. Easy ways for people to get in and start using a solution going forward. We've thought about packaging and how can we make it really easy for people to deliver, you know, a complete solution. So obviously, when the COVID-19 hit, we put together the local online toolkit. So is good timing on Andrew's part here, just doing the session about the LBOTs in the previous couple of weeks, and so hopefully this adds a little bit of color to that. And then, you know, previously in this year we came out, or the year, actually it was in 2019, come out with the snapshot widgets, where it's really easy way for you to put a self-registration onto your website so that people can come and get a business analysis, and from that they can claim a business app account straight away from that. And there's more coming there in terms of functionality around that, and allowing people to sign up right on your site. This is sort of, you know, where our head is at, and being able to enable our customers to pursue, you know, a product-led growth approach with their businesses. Number one, to cast a wider net of people that they can nurture and grow over time. And number two is remove the friction from not only just being able to interact with you and but actually become a paying customer and give a credit card, and reduce the amount of the overhead that you have in that whole part of your business. So with that little bit of background, maybe want to open it up for some just questions.
Jeff, that is awesome. I'd really appreciate you sharing the story of, you know, because what we like to do, right, Jeff? We like to try things out and then measure and then see how we can help our partners with that. And so by sharing that story, that's a great example of doing that. I see one question here from Thomas McMillan. Just as those numbers are really impressive. With the paying partners, but then also the large amount of partners who have signed up. I was just wondering. I think Thomas's question here is about clarifying. He's just not clear on what the difference is.
Oh, but between the paying customers and the other ones. So the 2,500 I was talking about were people that were on a paying subscription. The other numbers are people that are on a free subscription, but they're using the product. They're selling products through the platform and using our snapshot. As you know, that there's limitations on that free tier, but there's we see more and more every month. The number of customers that come from that pool, and you can think of it as just a large lead pool, right? People that are able to come in and interact and use a freemium solution. There's an increasing number of those that are now moving up into paid subscriptions. So we see this growth rate starting to snowball month over month.
Totally. Thomas, I can see you're unmuted. Does that answer your question? Do you have any follow-up questions or any other comments to add? No? Thomas is, you guys got to check out his LinkedIn. Fired Up Friday. Every Friday, he's always amping everybody up on there, right, Thomas?
That's right.
Nice. And does anybody else have any questions for Jeff on kind of what he's discussed so far with product-led growth and providing that experience before purchase?
What's the biggest stumbling block? Like when you onboard a client, what's the biggest or the key things you really need to get them to engage with multiple sections of or multiple products within Vendasta once you sign them up?
So that is a great question. As you guys know, it's a very broad platform. You can do a lot of things with it. I would say this is the number one key. Focusing on the use case for which the customer originally came to us for. So people come to us for a variety of different challenges. They come to us because they're looking for other products to sell. And this is sort of the universe of the main use cases. They come to us to generate leads in a more efficient way. They come to us to organize their sales system, so they come to us for a CRM. They come to us for a billing solution or a tool to help them better with their client fulfillment. And then lastly, and so the sixth main use case is a better way to deliver products to their customers. So a lot of people are like, they're building reports and spreadsheets and or find it hard to bundle products together. So when we go through our onboarding process, we really try to focus on what is the number one problem that the customer came to us to solve, and let's focus on doing that. So if they came to us because they want to get new products into the hands of their customers, then we focus on the marketplace and helping them build a store and how can we compress the number of steps that they need to take in order to start selling new solutions, define what those solutions are. And I would say with any type of product service that you're selling, and you guys are approaching your customers probably have more than one challenge with their business. Onboarding them is probably a wise approach to focus on what is the one greatest need, and let's get them happy there. Once they you've satisfied that use case, then you're in a good position to grow your relationship with that customer. Long-winded answer to your question.
That's awesome. And that kind of points really well to the comment that I see in the chat here from Alicia Gonzalez. I'm going to read it out, but Alicia, if you want to add some more context to it. But Alicia says, okay, I do need help. I have a new client and took on a full-time role with them as a director of marketing and communications. We have a variety of services and agencies. I want to bring some of our outsourced services to Vendasta, but having a hard time approaching. Alicia, I would love to hear from you. You know, if you can provide more specifics on the on kind of what you're looking to outsource, and you know, let's see if we can help you today.
Okay, so the company is pretty open to my suggestions because that's why they hired me. But I don't want it to seem just like, and they know that I have this agency, by the way, but I don't want it to just seem like, oh, okay, I'm just trying to nickel and dime you, you know, for everything. But we have a Facebook agency that runs ads. We have an agency that runs ads on Google. We have an agency that is doing backlink, SEO, backlink building through influencers. And to tell you the truth, like one of the first things that happened, say with Google ads is, or with Facebook ads, all of a sudden I'm writing the copy. Like I'm writing all the copy. And so I'm like, you know, I understand you guys really like them, but my job is to direct and to strategize. And now I'm writing copy, which I like. You know, we just sent out an email and I'm writing even subject lines now on emails. So they were getting like a 19% open rate. And the last two open rates on emails are at 41% because I'm writing subject lines. So I think I'm killing it there. But at some point, it's time for me to start making recommendations. So I think what I would like to start with to make it simple is things that we're not doing right now. They also have ad roll that they're using, which again, another thing I'm not happy with. And I don't know if it's like, you know, maybe us, what we're providing. But just to give you an example, you know, we're running this ad on Facebook, for example, that's about summer, but it's October, almost November. And I'm like, how does this stuff, you know, slip by? So maybe a service that is very relevant to what they're doing. They do wholesale and consumer. They just got into consumer about 5 years ago. Lifestyle brand of apparel. They pivoted into selling masks, where super battle with the masks because now Facebook is denying everything. That's a whole other thing. But that was going really good for them. And then they do what I would consider home accessories. So how do I give them a product that they're not using yet? So I can use that to build kind of, you know, proof of service, and then start to switch some of these other things. So I'm not sitting there writing copy for the agency that we're paying to do it.
Can I chime in?
Please.
Sure. Yeah.
So, I think for you, a good approach is we have all these agencies and nobody's talking to each other. So we're living off of their numbers, their reports. When you have all this information right here, you can run a snapshot report and go, this is our starting point. Let's fix. And then, because Facebook ads are great. SEO is great. It's all great, right? But is it driving what they really want? Is it driving the right traffic? I mean, anybody can buy an ad on Facebook and drive traffic, but is it doing anything for them? So they have all these band-aids and all these agencies. So what you could do is take it as like a consolidation kind of approach and say, listen, I'm running some reports, go nuts with Vendasta reports, and come back and say, this is what we have. Yeah. Let's get rid of some of these agencies and break it down, and then we can go running. Because the whole point is, let's drive revenue that drives profitability.
Yeah, I like that, and I, you know, I think it's sort of approaching it from a customer experience point of view too. Hey, you know, how can we create a better experience for customers when we're right now we're using all these different agencies and we have these different touch points. How can we create a more streamlined experience that'll create a more loyal customer to us, right?
Oh, I like that. I like your suggestion too, Dan. You know, like I have a way of doing things. Let me tell you about my process, you know, and so generally, you know, whenever I'd start working with a client and, you know, I do an in-depth analysis, or, you know, this kind of points back to Janice's section, you know, the 10-minute 5-point checklist where you could just go through things and then you could position it for the next step with a snapshot report. And then, so question for you, Alicia, do you have them in the business app yet? Like, are they using the business app?
No, not at all. And if they were using that, it would be me. So
Yeah.
here's what happened. I applied for a job because I needed a job in order to grow my business, right? So where I was doing all this other stuff, I had a blog, etc. on the side, I was like, okay, I need a job. So I went through all the process. And then when we were kind of in the end, and I was like, you know what? I don't think you need an e-commerce person. I think you need a director of marketing and communications. And I also think that you're going to have to pay more. And I don't really want to be hired. I think you should hire my company because it's just going to be better for you. And so they agreed. So that was a huge change already. I'm like 3 weeks in. The entire company knew of the job description and what was posted, and I came in at a completely different role. And they've all also been pretty flat as far as like hierarchy of the company. So there's different people. We have a graphic designer, we have wholesale people, and so now I'm like not supervising, but I'm in charge of marketing, right? So that overlaps. So I'm already in this kind of slight adjustment period where I think people might be feeling like, what just happened?
Yeah. It reminds me of, on our side, something that we talk about, and this is more of like a technical term, and, George Leith would probably get upset with hearing me say this, but, reducing vendor clutter, reducing agency clutter. And so I'm thinking back to Dan's recommendation of, running a snapshot report, and then you can turn on the local business online toolkit and then introduce them to the business app, that whole ecosystem, talk about the executive report, show them the benefits of having everything in one place. And just like Dan said, we want to have everything driving in the right direction. And that's hard to do if it's not all consolidated.
I agree. And I know that they want, me to be as efficient as possible. And when I'm doing, having to write copy and then I'm meeting all the time. I finally told them, I was like, you know what, I meet on Tuesdays. I'm not going to do meetings if it's not on Tuesday unless it's an emergency, because how am I getting anything done if I'm all week in meetings? And that's what they outsource. They outsource SMS messaging. They outsource customer service. They outsource the website rebuild, which so we're a very small company with a whole bunch of vendors. We have more vendors than we have employees.
Yeah. I could see, Dan, I could see you smiling a little bit. Have you found yourself in a similar position, or how do you manage these kinds of conversations?
I mean, for me, it's easy. I'm kind of a bold person anyway. So, I love to listen to when they have all these solutions, and it's just like, we're doing that. We're great. We're the best thing since sliced bread, right? They're just puffing themselves up. And then you show them the business center, and you show them the reporting, and you're like, well, we can do this in one spot right here. And then once they see it, and then they start seeing the value, and they're just like, didn't know this was available. Okay. And then they start questioning their digital marketing agency that they're working with over here and over here and over here. And like, hey, give us some numbers. And then it's like not matching. So then that's a no-brainer for us. Now it's like, okay, here's the thing. We have a lot of to-do work to do, like writing content, getting emails and all that, but you need to streamline it. Hey, we have a solution that can integrate and do that. Great. You can do Facebook ads. You can do YouTube ads. It's great. We're going to put it all in one place, and it's visible. Like, visibility is huge. So let's do this. Let's get the fundamentals in place, right? And then we can add on whenever we need to, but then we can actually do the work at hand. So because we physically have to do that. We can't just keep like figuring out how do we streamline this? How do we get this reporting? How do we, it's here.
So I'm brand new to Vendasta. So should I reach out to my contact who helped me get set up? Because that's the other thing, is that I feel a bit incompetent speaking about the things that I can do as, a Vendasta powered agency, because I don't know yet. So
Absolutely.
I'm also,
Yeah. I mean,
Alicia, go
I
ahead,
did.
Dan.
I did. I reached out to my contact. I think they were maybe annoyed with me in the beginning, but I would say, yes, we could do that. And then I'd get a hold of Vendasta and be like, can we really do that? Like, is this available? Because I just wanted to make, I think it does. So, but for the most part, I mean, what people talk about and things like that, I mean, yeah, absolutely contact your person. And you don't need to know everything about everything. Like, just like here, just the company that you're working with, that they need the fundamentals and the basics anyway. So like Andrew said, the online toolkit, like boom, it's a no-brainer. Just get them set up with that for starters. They're going to see the value in that, and then they'll be like, what else can we do? And then you can add on.
I kind of want to add to that, and Dan, I'm really happy to hear that you had that experience where you said, hey, I got into the platform, I explored, I had conversations, I was selling things, and then I reached out to my Vendasta rep, my team member on Vendasta side, and say, hey, does this make sense? Can we do this? And Alicia, that's exactly why our team is here, and that's why we added who your Vendasta team member is in the bottom left-hand corner of your partner center. That's why it's there, to make it easier to facilitate that conversation. So if you have any questions, reach out to the team on our side, and we'll help you out with that.
I think, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, say that again, Alicia.
I have Logan. He's been pretty amazing, really
Nice.
willing to help. So yeah.
Awesome. Logan's a sharp guy, so I'll make sure that he's aware that we had this conversation. I'll have him reach out and schedule something. And to that same point, it's not just Vendasta who is here to help you be successful. We have an entire marketplace of vendors who are here to help you as well. So for example, one thing that I like to talk about is, our SEO providers. They have a really high win rate, and they'll do white label sales calls to help you with that. Because, I mean, Jeff, you went through some Bruce Clay training on SEO, and Jeff, this is in my head every time I talk about SEO. But I remember you did the presentation at the Lunch and Learn. I think it was the first one, and I remember some of the feedback. Correct me if I am misremembering this, but for SEO, it's so complicated. We need to know enough to be dangerous, but we don't feel like you need to be the expert, because that's why we have others on our team who do SEO all the time. And I would encourage everybody to reach out to those vendors, Boostability, Alpha SEO, SEO Network, and they'll support you with understanding the next steps and kind of what they can offer, and really being the SEO experts. But I don't know, Jeff, your presentation on that just reminded me of that. And do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, it's one field where we need to know enough to be dangerous and serve the clients and answer their high-end questions. But the part, you're right, the partners that we have are extremely helpful, especially navigating the sales discussions. And they've really helped a lot of our partners get up and going, and with a new line of SEO solutions.
That's a great conversation. Thank you, Alicia, and thank you, Dan, for providing your experience to the group. But hey, let's get back to product-led growth and the local business online toolkit. I want to hear more from others on the call today. Do you have any questions for Jeff about what he discussed about product-led growth? Do you want to know what the Vendasta logo symbolizes? Do you want to know any of that, or any experiences with the local business online toolkit? That's kind of what we wanted to talk about today. Would love to hear from anybody who has any questions at all.
It's funny, since you bring that up and we're waiting for other comments, I will talk about the logo. It's a sale. It's a sale. And the story behind it is, in our very first office, one of our co-founders brought his sailboat in, and he set it up in the middle of the office. And I still don't know why to this day. He just thought it'd look cool, and we our original office space didn't have any character at all. So we said, "Oh, I'm going to put a sailboat in there." And then there's a story of this gentleman, and this is just when we were trying to, when we came up with a name and like really basic stuff out of the beginning. There's a story of a gentleman by the name of Tom Suchanan, and a long time ago he was a Saskatchewan resident, and we live in a landlocked province, by the way. And this guy was a little bit crazy, but he had this big dream to build a sailboat and sail back to what country where he was from, in Norway, from Saskatchewan. So you know where Saskatchewan is on a map. We're right in the middle of North America. But apparently there was like a series of creeks and rivers that potentially this thing could have worked. Could have got up to Hudson Bay and sailed to Norway out of there. It never did really work out for him. But the point of it, when we read his story, is he was a little bit crazy, and he had a big dream, and it seemed to describe us a little bit. We had a big dream, and we were a little bit crazy, and we had a sailboat in the middle of our office. So that's how the sail ended up on our logo.
Oh, that's good. I know we get that question sometimes. Come on, there's got to be some Ty.
Would this
There
be
you are.
good luck for me then, Jeff and Andrew? So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
100%.
yeah. This was actually handmade for me by some friends in Brazil. I went down there to do philanthropic work, and they made this for my family. This is a model of an actual Brazilian fishing boat. These are super small, like I think like 12 feet, long, and they actually go out and fish the seas out in the ocean to do it. And they made me one of these. So I thought,
I could not imagine being out on a sea in a 12-footer like that. Hey.
Yeah, and they go out for days. Is how it's been done, a tradition there for years, and they even put the names of my family on the boat.
That is so awesome.
Cool.
Is that mahogany? Or...
It's light. I don't know if it's mahogany or not, but
it's gorgeous, man.
Thank you. I hope the magic of Vendasta's, logo and organization just brings it to right here for me. Andrew knows I'm a big Vendasta fan. I call you guys V Power for the V. Yeah.
We'll keep trying to live up to that.
Hey, y'all are doing it, and I think I can speak for a lot of the folks here. Thank you, and I get to give a shout out for Becky. I don't know if she's on right now, but Becky's great, and I should be doing 10x better than I am, but I want to inspire others that might be the slow comers like me. I started my agency all outside of Vendasta, so it's still operating that way, and I'm still doing too much, like was shared earlier. So,
yeah. Well, getting things going it's always chaotic. My God, I know things I can relate to the chaos. We were that way for a number of years.
Yeah, well, and I have money rolling in, so that's a good thing, but a bad thing because that makes me have to move. Well, I can move slower if I want to.
Yeah,
and
good for you.
So
that's
yeah,
awesome,
and Arnima,
Ty.
thank you for last week, by the way. That was great.
Hey, you know what, Ty? That's a great segue. I thought maybe we could provide Arnima with a little bit of time to talk about the local business online toolkit and snapshot report initiative with the badge in the community. Maybe that'll get some ideas going. Arnima, how are you doing?
Hey guys, thank you. I'm doing very well. These sessions just bring life back into me. So thank you, Andrew, for organizing the community. To everyone here, I believe from the last conversation we had about the toolkits and the ton of questions perhaps that I left you all with, Jeff did a brilliant job at answering all those. And I was just thinking in my head that while I went through so Jeff, hey, I'm not sure if you're aware. Last week we did a presentation on toolkits, and it was a presentation, with buzzwords and with how to operate and all of that. But I'm sure, like most presentations do, they leave you with a lot of questions and you answered all those questions for me today, and I'm sure for everybody in the community as well. So thank you for that. All right, I'll cut straight to the chase and maybe throw everybody on spot here and ask how many of us have been able to complete the course and post your badge. If you have, just throw it in the chat here, and perhaps we'll get some good number. Richard has done it. Richard, thank you. David, Thomas, great guys. It's been amazing. So the past week, we have seen 16 badges come in already, and Andrew is excited about it because it's partners helping partners, partners encouraging partners, right? So he's right at the top of the roof here. We have sent out some emails already to people who have completed their badges, and there is a call to action in that email, which is to book in some time with your rep or call support directly. And if you're one of those people and you have your list ready, your prospect list or your lead list, whatever you want to call it, give us a holler and we'll reach out to you and do all the work. But yeah, I think for those of you who were not part of the last week's community session, let me quickly, let's see if I can bring the deck up and talk about, hey, Andrew, did you want to just
Yeah, while Arnima's doing that,
engage?
Paul Ryan, I can see you saying, I completed it in July. Well, if you've completed it, share your badge in the community. You know, share it and show it to the other partners, and you know, your Vendasta team member will reach out and hook you up with some. Make sure that you have the local business online toolkits and snapshots that you need to support your community and get started with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that point, here are the steps how to claim your 50+ toolkits along with snapshots. Number one, go ahead, complete your academy course. It is just 2 module long, won't take you more than 30 minutes. Showcase your badge on the community and keep your list ready. So we want to make sure that you do need the toolkits and the snapshots. And if you do, we're here to help. Keep your list ready. We'll reach out to you. Most of you must have already received an email. Book us in and we'll do all the work for you. Well, as far as the execution goes, Andrew is going to kill me if I say we're going to do all the work for you, because he keeps talking about sweat equity. So I don't want to digress from that. But yeah, that's the offer. It stands until the 30th of November. So we still have an entire month to leverage. I'll be looking forward to questions in the community. I'll be engaging in the community. So reach out to me directly if you need to. Andrew, I think that'll be it from me.
Awesome. Thanks, Arnima. So I can see David Brown and maybe Michael Kinar. We should make sure that we've reached out to them. Looks like you know, they're looking for the email. So let's make sure that we touch base with them.
So I see David Brown and Thomas as well. Okay, I will make that as a note for myself. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Arnima. Anybody else have any questions? We really want to just have an open discussion. I know it can take a little time to warm up, but you know what, Jeff, really thank you for spending the time with the group today. We still have a few minutes before we close out the session, so we'd love to hear from anybody. Any questions, challenges, anything? You know, let's get these amazing insights that Jeff has to help you out.
I can propose a question, Andrew, and you guys can decide if you want to take it up or not.
Yeah, let's hear it.
And if it doesn't apply to most everybody, it's fine if it doesn't. So a big struggle point for me is I'm the typical person that started agency and I did not niche or your niche or however it is. And so now Dennis, you know, has challenged us to do that. And for me, I've got to connect it to my own personal mission and things I'm passionate about. So I've struggled with that, and I'd like to hear some guidance on that. Becky's helped me, you know, she's got another view that's helped, but it is a struggle point. So that's what it is. If it helps, great. If we need to, you know, punt on it for later, that's fine.
No, I think that like that's a great topic, and it's a challenge. So this is what I would say about that. In general, I think it's really, really important to try to figure out what your ideal customer profile looks like. Number one, because it will help you with retention down the road and it will help you target your marketing to a very specific audience as well. What we've found, and like we've done a fair bit of actual business intelligence work around benchmarking customer performance and profiling our entire customer base. We find that people that focus on a particular vertical in general do good and do better in terms of consistent growth rate, keeping customers over time. And practically, when you apply that to a go-to-market strategy, there's a lot of competition out there and people providing different types of business services. One of the things that really helps you stand out is bringing a uniquely tailored approach for a specific customer segment, and so it'll help in the go-to-market, not just on the retention side of things.
Do you recommend, is there a course or something to kind of guide a person through to do that? Because I have all kinds of, I have on one hand, dentists and orthodontists to home service companies to a daycare and so forth, so something to guide, because it's really confused me. I'm embarrassed about it, to be honest with you.
No, first off, I wouldn't be embarrassed about it at all. Hey, look, in the first days of Vendasta, and I'll just share this as well. When we started, we had a vision for a product that we wanted to build. We wanted to be a product company, build our own product, bring it to market. But we also had to eat right out of out of the gate. And so we did consulting work for the first almost into the fourth year of operating Vendasta. So we built proprietary software and took on contracts to do that on a contract basis, and we took contracts from whoever we could, because just for that reason, hey, you got to get the business going, and it took us quite a while to refine exactly who our ideal customer profile, what it looks like. But I mean, one thing when you're trying to figure out who that is, number one, I'd probably focus on your passion, and then number two, on what area you think you could bring the most knowledge to. But the passion and the knowledge, start there, and then refine it, and then work your way to, then where are the opportunities in the market segment, right?
Yeah, that's very helpful. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Maybe somebody, or you might be out of time. I'm sorry, but I wondered if other agency owners had the same struggle or something. Sorry,
Yeah.
Andy.
No, that's all right. And Ty, thanks for the question, and Jeff, thanks for the insights.
Thanks, Jeff.
Ty, reach out in the community. Maybe start a topic in the community, a discussion topic and then maybe some partners can help there. I did want to see if Richard was still on the line. I saw Richard. You unmuted yourself for a second there. I just want to make sure that you had an opportunity to add a comment if you had a question at all.
I was kind of struggling with how to best use the LBOT. I was trying to figure out, in some cases, I'm giving it to some of my clients because they are struggling so bad they can't afford to, barely can afford to stay in business. So I'm giving them, just giving it outright. I would like to get some income from it. And my challenge is cold calling someone and just saying, oh, here's a snapshot report. It's like, oh, who are you and where did you come from? So I'm trying to fast track how we can kind of use these tools.
Hey, Richard. Andrew, may I just chime in?
Yep.
Because I have heard that struggle before, and a couple times now. So first things first, for operational benefit, Richard, please do reach out to your assigned rep here at Vendasta, and they are the best person to help you out strategize your go-to-market. Number two, When it comes to monetizing in the world of digital, yes, currency is very important, but there is another digital currency that you can leverage from these people who are unable to pay you, is give them the toolkits anyway. Let it be as an incubator and let them just leave you a fantastic world-class review on your Google and Facebook, because nothing beats a great review. And we use that as a currency to get your next client who can actually pay you. So even if they can't pay you currency, they can pay you in digital currency, which is a fantastic gold star review. And toolkits
That's
will allow you
exactly
to do that.
what I've said when they said, "Oh, I can't afford to pay you." I said, "Well, wait 3 months and then give me a review."
Yeah.
And
And you know what, what's interesting, Richard, is we're starting to see more stories from partners who have turned on the local business online toolkit and left it on for some time, right? A few months. And we don't get these stories unless we do that. But what's happening is that, executive reports are going out and these notifications are going out and your brand is staying top of mind. And so if and when, that business is ready to start talking about digital, there's a greater opportunity that you'll be the one that they reach out to because you've been providing these tools. And then you can start talking about the other solutions that you have to offer. So I think, on Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna add, that's your lead pool, and so you want to get them out into the hands of as many as you can, and then, but from there, focus on the people that you can help. And one of the, obviously the big challenges right now is people are having trouble getting clients, but they're also having trouble operationalizing how they can actually operate in this type of remote world. We had a great case study just from an in-house example here. So one of the gentlemen on my marketing team, his uncle runs a store, a game store. He has comic books and games. It's called his shop is called Amazing Stories, and he was a very non-technical business owner. He had been floated with the idea of improving his online presence and being able to transact, integrate e-commerce into his website, and he sort of punted on it. In fact, one of his comments, I think, to Rylan was, "I probably just close up before I have to do something like that, because I just don't know how to navigate the e-commerce world." Well, when this hit, I mean, it obviously, when you're faced with having to possibly shut down your business, it was easy to convince him to take the plunge, and it didn't take him long. He literally, but using the Website Pro solution and integrating the e-commerce package into that, he was able to get his comic library up and online. And inside the first month, I think he transacted some $7,000 worth in the first 1 month or 6 weeks. And now, since April, I think he's transacted up to around, I'll get this number wrong, but it's between $30,000 and $40,000 online. And so, the people that, so I to make a long story short, say who are the people that could integrate e-commerce solutions and really need them, and seek out those opportunities inside of the lead pool that you have.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I love that you bring up that story, Jeff, because Rylan told the story in an earlier community session. So I just put the link into the chat. So if anybody wants to hear that full story about how Rylan worked with his uncle at Amazing Stories with the local business online toolkit to get things started, the challenges that he had, and the solutions that Rylan provided with it. I've just put the link in the chat. I think it's the second last one there. And Arnima provided an update, and I think your numbers are accurate, Jeff. It was right around, I think, that 40,000.
It's
Arnima,
exactly on spot, 40,000.
Yeah.
We spoke to that. We spoke to this in exact case study, Jeff, last week as well.
Oh, great. Yeah. So, obviously the e-commerce space has grown by leaps and bounds over the last few months. It grew. The adoption of e-commerce technologies grew more in the last few months than it has in the previous 10 years. and so there's an opportunity in that space that is being provided, and I'd look to there.
Jim, did you unmute? Did you want to comment or ask a question at all?
Well, I just want to make a comment. This is my first time on this conference call. I actually knew Vendasta back at Burrell Conference in New York, 2 years ago? And I was with a company, and that's where I met you guys. And I met actually the whole crew. I met Jeff and Brandon, all those guys. And if you ever have the opportunity to meet them, they're great. And they had a great dinner at some New York.
Love you telling lies.
Yeah. But it was great. Thank you. I have to say this to everyone that's out there. I've been very fortunate in my life. I've been very fortunate for 29 years. Started in 1991 with a Tandy computer and 1300 to my name. Built a multi-million-dollar company. Was fortunate just before the crash in 2008 to sell it. Then I did something that I never thought I would do. I bought companies out of bankruptcy, built them up and sold them. And then I worked for my competitor for 5 years, and that's where I got introduced to Vendasta. And the board ended up going with another company, which I was very disheartened because Vendasta had so much more to offer. Well, throughout this whole thing, I've learned my lesson when it comes to digital, because I had to train 40 people in our company on this platform, not Vendasta's platform, a different one. I just want you to know, hands down, I do a lot of research. Hands down, this platform is by far the best one out there. And as a business owner and as dealing with and training people on how to use it, I have to say this, how it works for me is I treat all my customers with the due respects of servicing and the passion of it. I don't know a lot about digital, but I know that they need it because I was always in a direct mail business. And these customers, no matter how small or how big they are, need you, and it's working for them. They're getting away from direct mail, although some is good, but they're going into the digital world. The difference that we're going to have is the learning of it, is to make sure that we're telling them in such a layman's terms that they don't have their eyes gloss over and they just start shaking their head and say, okay. So I guess my word of encouragement is stay with it. You don't need a lot of customers to make this work. And being an entrepreneur all my life, I'm so excited to now join the team of Vendasta, and you're all great. I can't say enough about it, and I'll talk to you in 6 months to see how I'm doing, but I'm just thrilled to death to be here, and thank you all for all these things. It's about the stories too. Share your success stories. I can tell you right now that when it comes to people say what type of customers to go out there, the customer that's working right now for me is in the field of dentistry. So your orthodontist people are doing phenomenal on some of these platforms. So with all that said, share your stories, stay up there. And if you feel like you're getting down on something, give somebody a call. But I'm telling you, team, this is a phenomenal company. And thank you. Thank you for being there.
Hey, Jim, thanks for the kind words, and it's good to see you.
And Jim, welcome. Thanks for joining us in this session. I hope to see you in more. I don't want anybody to think, Dan Harley, we were chatting at the beginning of this session. Dan joined a session and he didn't know that was going on every week. So maybe that's on me. But I want everybody to know that we do this every week and we talk about different things. But Jim, I love that word of encouragement and that challenge to everybody. Let's share these stories. That's why we started it, so that we can share these stories. And also, like Jim said, give somebody a call. So we encourage you to reach out to others in the community, other Vendasta partners, build your network and your accountability groups, so that if you have any questions or if you're having challenges, you also have others to chat with to overcome those challenges. So Jim, thank you very much. Looking forward to seeing you on many calls, and thank you for providing that comment for the group. And you know what, we're about 10 minutes over the time, but guys, that discussion was so good. That's why we do these things. So thank you to everybody for spending some time with us this Friday, the extra time. Wanted to say a big thank you to Jeff Tomlin for spending time with us and sharing those stories about the early days with Vendasta and why we're doing these things and how we do them. So thank you very much, Jeff. Any last words to take us out?
No, hey, thanks a lot for having me. Well, we should do this more often, and appreciate everyone's questions and comments. Hope everyone has a great Friday and a tremendous weekend.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week, and we'll see you in the community. Stay safe and have a great weekend. See ya.